racing once more. It's STB Racing League, 32 laps here around Imola. We set sailing once more. If you did not watch the qualifying session, Dan PITR came across the line with a 14.1 with an immense lap to get himself a pole position and have an absolutely fantastic qualifying session. But can he keep that pace up into the Grand Prix? Can he keep it consistent as well for 32 laps? That is something you do need to keep in mind. We will have to see. Here we go, folks. It's a big one. It's the one we've all been waiting for. Another question as well for tonight. Can DJ Danny close down that gap to the top spot to Mark Tunjic? Of course, the gap being 26 points and Mark Tunjic not racing tonight. If you win tonight, DJ Danny, you will be closing the gap from 26 points to 1 point going into next week. It is a vital race for that championship battle, for DJ Danny to try and finally close down that big gap between himself and Mark Tunjic, which has been progressively going up and up as the season goes by. We have now started the formation lap, folks. Get ready, get your popcorn, get your crisps, whatever you want to eat, settle down and get watching. What are the people going on? What are the people wearing for tonight? It looks like most of the top 10 really are using the medium compound tyres, with the exception of 2 people on either hards or soft. Sorry, 3 people with that exception of the rule. Kerem with the hard compound tyres there for the Red Bull. He's going to be looking to absolutely have a lovely time nursing those tyres eventually till around to the later stage of the Grand Prix, use an overcut method and hopefully get the win. But can that fare out about with the mass amounts of people behind him who are on the medium tyres as well? That's something you've got to take into account, because it's not just about how the overcut is happening because of how quick you are. It also matters about where you are when that overcut takes place. If you're just getting overtaken left, right and centre, it's never going to be favourable for you. It's never going to work. Plant Baseball, though, he had a decent qualifying session as well. He was kind of close to Dan. He was around 3/10 off of him in that qualifying session, so he wasn't too far behind. Don't count out the Alpine just yet. As a matter of fact, don't count out the top 10 just yet. Tier 3 has always been known to be a very weird and unpredictable tier throughout any Grand Prix that has hosted them. And I don't think that tonight will be any exception to that rule. People just disqualified from the session for, I believe, having contact in the formation lap. As the formation lap will come to a close, we will get started here for the 32 laps in STB. Of course, the strategy for the medium runners is going to be medium hards. That is going to be the main strategy. Of course, the undercut is also going to be a big factor, of course. Undercut is a very powerful F125. How early can you box with it being beneficial? It looks like the kick sab was going for a very narrow angled attack. Something that I did like to do when I would qualify P1 in Tier 3, but it looks like he went a bit too deep into the parking zone, and therefore it has not counted. Here we go then, folks. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it is 5 red lights. And it is green light, go, 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 we go racing, going Imola, going down towards that first turn. It looks like Dan gets a good getaway away from the Alpine, but look at the Ferrari there of Gekka going into that first turn. He's sniffing at the backside as they go side by side. This is the Sauber and the Alpine. Down the inside, the Sauber's going to look to go there. Oh, the Alpine, there's a bit of contact going on to the exit between the two of them as they exit through this right-hander here, left-hander. The Alpine is ahead of the Sauber. Going into his left-hander here, though, looks like the Ferrari is going to look for a move up the inside of the Red Bull, but he looks to back out of it as there's a bit of a commotion in the mid-table here. As wide goes the McMullen here of the Williams. He's going onto the gravel. Going into his left-hander here, though. Looks like it's side-by-side between Iceman and DJ Danny. There's a bit of contact here. Going wide is the Sauber there of STB Maldi. Of course, Sauber being the Constructor Champions so far, the Constructor leaders, they've got to be trying to open up the gap between themselves and McLaren in the Constructor Championship. Here is the Ferraris there of Gekka and ECU going side-by-side. Dan is round, and Dan is in Sector 2. He's round. He's dropping all the way down to P14. The man who qualified 3/10 on pole, he is now miles behind Plant Baseball, who is sitting comfortably in P1. Was there contact? Was there a big moment between these two drivers that could be reported after the Grand Prix? That is something we're going to have to see later on. But so far, so good for Plant Baseball as he exits that final turn. P1 in the Imola Grand Prix. Going down into the first turn, that looks like Gekkar's going to get a move here on his teammate. He's got the ERS being used. Using the ERS, it's a clean manoeuvre into that first turn. Side by side here between the Kick-Sauber and the Williams. Dan looking for the outside line. And now the inside going to the right-hander. He cuts the corner just a little bit. He tries to force the move, but he can't force the move. He stays behind and he loses a position there to George Hutch, who comes through for the P14. As Kezin is looking at the backside. He wonders if he can get the position himself. But Dan, going from all the way from P1 down to P15 in just 2 laps. I told you. Unpredictable. It's unpredictable. You cannot predict what happens here in Tier 3. But this gap between Gek and Kerem is now taking place, and it's enabling Kerem to just breathe, have a sigh of relief, and not spill. No, Dan's right around again. Around and round and round it goes like a merry-go-round. And the Kick-Sauber's having an awful time. Well, Mick Mullen here and Maldi could be going at it here, but they are not. Of course, with their softer compound tires, you would assume that Williams would be lightning quick in just getting away. Here's Boschmaster though into the left-hander. He will go. Can he get a good exit here on Eastdew going down towards that first turn? I don't think so. Is DJ Danny. Of course, this is a huge race for DJ Danny. Of course, it's a huge race for DJ Danny. As if he does get some points, some mega points, he can close on the gap for the championship as he goes down the inside on the McLaren, going into that first turn, neck and neck. But the McLaren's neck sticks higher up, and there's the V-Carb coming right at the backside there of DJ Danny. DJ Danny's going to look for the inside line going into the left, and there's contact, there's big contact between him and the McLaren, and the championship battler, the championship rival, is into the gravel. Like I say, unpredictable. You cannot tell me what's going to happen on the next lap of this Grand Prix. I can tell you, I can predict something. Oh no, Kezin, he's in the grass as well. Big moments so far in the Himalayan Grand Prix. I don't know why I said Himalayan. I don't even think that's a proper word. We're in San Marino. We're having an absolutely mental time. Here we go though. Boschmaster into left-hander here, and he's going to go onto the exit, going right behind Eastdew, going to go into the left-handers here, as a 0-0 will overtake Dominic and the Haskar, and Boschmaster will go side by side here with Eastview, going into this last left-hander here. Ahead he goes. Can the Ferrari get a better exit? Then Boschmaster uses ERS effectively and get past down the straights. I believe he can not. I don't think he will. Dominic overtaking 0-0 here, going into that first turn. The Alpine obeying the pace there of the Haskar. Now side by side in between, I believe that's the V-Carb of Sienu and Kirakidis here. A corner cut there for Sienu, and he will get the time penalty there for 3 seconds. Mick Mullen, oh no! There's a Sauber that's round. Not Sauber, sorry. A V-Carb that's round. That is Sienu. Just got a penalty, and now he's round as well. Eastdew here going into this left-hander, going to try and get a better exit than Boschmaster, but he cannot. Iceman and Mick Mullen here. Iceman into P13. I don't know why. Maldi overtaken here by Mick Mullen. The Williams. Maldi not having a nice time so far in Tier 3. Right-hander, left-hander here for Eastdew. He's going to try and get right up at the back here of Boschmaster. DJ Danny. He can be absolutely gutted with what happened earlier on this Grand Prix. It's his big chance in trying to close down the gap. And if it continues this way with him getting no points, the gap could even extend. Sienu is round again. The V-Carb not having a nice time. But here we go then, going down towards the first turn. The Ferrari getting the DRS here on the Williams. I don't think it's going to be close enough though to look for the move, as George Hutch overtaking Kyriakidis into that first turn. Looking nice from the Aston Martin. He completes it. DJ Danny overtaking 2 for 1 here. Round the outside, he's going to look to go with the Aston Martin. And he completes it. Great manoeuvre as Maldi goes wide into that second turn as well. He's losing a bunch of time. Maldi, like I said, not having a nice time here in Tier 3. And that theme just continues. DJ Danny, though, having a very, very nice Grand Prix. He's not having a nice Grand Prix, but he's having a nice overtake there on Iceman. Sienu here. Getting overtaken by Kezin. As Plant Baseball and Kerem, the gap, not as large as you would like it to be if you're a Plant Baseball fan. What this might enable here for Kerem is this close enough gap later on into the Grand Prix when these mediums actually wear out more and the hards become the quicker tyre. Actually, what will happen is that gap will be closed down, and Kerem could be looking for a move very soon on that Alpine. Make sure to look out for that top 2 battle. Here's 0-0 though. He's right on the backside there of the Haskell. The Haskell defending very aggressively. It's down the inside. 0-0 looks to go here on the Haskell, as the Haskell went deep into the double left-hander and onto the exit. The Alpine's going to get a better exit than that Haskell, and he is going to take the position here for P6. But here we go. Coming back is the Haskell, but the Alpine does have DRS. But here comes Synetic. He's flying up the order. P7 here. Can he look for on the Alpine as well? No, he can't. But just in a flash, Dominic dropping down 2 places. That's how brutal Tier 3 can be. And how brutal can Imola be? The answer is very, because Kerem has got a 3-second time penalty here. That is going to endanger his Grand Prix massively later on. He's going to have to build up a 3-second gap between himself and Plant Baseball if he wants to get a win. It is a huge disadvantage now for Kerem. Plant Baseball will be huffing and fuming at that one. Boschmaster up into the right-hander here as well, right on the back of the Ferrari. He's been aiming for ECU for quite some time here, and I think he's going to be looking for it into turn 1 as well. The Williams, right-hander, left-hander, the chicane, a very difficult part of this circuit. Synetic overtaking 0-0 there. That's a very surprising manoeuvre. I believe 0-0 must have gone very slow on the exit of that chicane, and it allowed Synetic to pull through and take the position off of him. Left-hander here once more from 0-0, and onto the exit. Can he get some good ERS? Can he get some good DRS going? And can he gain enough speed to look for the move? I tell you who can though, that's Boschmaster! Side by side, on the straight, neck and neck. His neck is fully ahead, shoulder to shoulder. And the shoulder blades are passed there for the Williams, as Kezin overtaking Dan all the way down to P16. East to you here, right-hander for the Ferrari. The Williams closely ahead of him. Of course, just getting overtaken by Boschmaster. Boschmaster is just going to look to try and extend his gap between himself and the Ferrari. Dan entering the pits, I can only assume that is because he's going to retire from the Grand Prix. No, maybe he's actually pitting on some genuine hards or something. But here we go though. It seems to be a very spaced out Himalayan. Sorry. Heartburn now. That's awful to have in comms. It appears to be a very spaced out Imola GP so far, but do not be mistaken. Just one mistake from one driver can be a kamikaze to their race. And just allow these drivers to group up together once that bit more. DRS now going to be used here on the Williams from this Ferrari of Eastube, but I think he has to concede that he's not going to be able to overtake him on this lap. He's got to do it another lap. George Hutch, though, going very quick down the straight here, and he's going to go up the inside of Dominic going into that first turn, and he's completed the move. Very nice and dandy there from the Aston Martin, and the Haskell has to just wave goodbye. Dominic, left-hander, right-hander. Can the McLaren try and sneak past him into this deep left banker here? This is the banker. No, I don't think he can. STB Maldi with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's not going to be happy for that. He'll be banging his desk. Not in laughter, but in anger. Right-hander here for Eastube. Still these two, Boschmaster and Eastube, going at it, giving us some great entertainment in this Grand Prix. I'm expecting more from these two. And onto the exit. Boschmaster gets a really good exit on Eastube. That's going to make it much more difficult for the Ferrari to try and get past the Williams once more. George Hutch going into this double left-hander here. Can he get a better exit than he did last lap? And look for a move once more on another driver ahead of him. He's been very good, very immense on his pace so far. As Dominic is entering the pit lane. Unfortunately, that's a 10-second time penalty for speeding. McMillan also entering the pit lanes. It looks like it's time these mediums are just wearing out that little bit more. This is around the time where you want Kerem to really put on the pace and try and get at Plant Baseball. It looks like 0-0 here, getting overtaken. Did he spin? He did! 0-0 into the wall, losing a lot of positions. And that's a big mistake there. As here comes Easter, you can take a look at how close he is up on this Williams up ahead of him. And also, look at this now. Look at this now. Kerem, very close behind Plant Baseball. If I'm Plant Baseball, I'm boxing in the next 2 laps. I don't want to box this lap. I think it's too early. I don't think your hard set compound tyres are going to last from now to the end without them popping. Genuinely. I think what he's got to do is just try not make these mistakes on these hard mediums. Hard mediums to drive on, sorry. Try and enable a consistent pace. Keep a gap between himself and Kerem. And then later on in the Grand Prix, box for obviously those hard set compound tyres soon. And regain that pace on him coming out the pit lane. Here comes Eastleigh, very close to Bushmaster. Will he send it? Yes, he will. Going into the first turn, the Ferrari lunging it up the inside. And he waves by the Williams. Fantastic move there from Eastleigh, popping up into P4. And he leads the Williams, and he's not going to be happy about that, Bushmaster. He's going to look to come right back at the Ferrari. Is there an opportunity going into this left-hander? No. Unfortunately, just a bit too slow onto the exit of that right-hander there from Bushmaster. It enables him to not go for the move. Here we go, there's a lot of chop and change with the pit stops here, as people are coming into the pit lane, for hard set compound tyres, or even the mediums themselves. 0-0 coming out, of course, just previously having that big crash. As Kerem, oh no! That's really not what you want. Another 3-second time penalty, for him. That's pretty much just going to mean it's so difficult for him to now win this race. Genuinely, it really is. You can't really create a gap of 6 seconds unless Plant Baseball makes a really, really big mistake. But will somebody make a big mistake here between the Ferrari, the Williams, and the V-Carb, going into the double left-hander here, and now going onto that pit lane straight. The mighty speed of the Williams will be fierce going onto that straight as the Ferrari dipping into the pit lane. Never mind. Of course, Eastleigh got a 10-second time penalty. No. That is so damaging to his Grand Prix. That, of course, means when he comes out the pit lane and when Bushmaster and Synetic are quite close towards him now, they're going to be easily able to overtake Eastleigh just on penalties alone. Really damaging for his Grand Prix there for the Ferrari. And he's going to look back on that with shame. Left-hander here. Synetic very close up to the back of Bushmaster. Eastleigh coming close to people coming out the pit lane. Here's George Hutch is very close to that Ferrari. Not going to send it into that first time, I assume, as there is a retirement there from 0-0 into the pit lane. Unfortunately for him, he's not happy with his Grand Prix so far, and he has decided to leave. Synetic here, going into the chicane, the V-Carb looking to push and pull through for the positions. Look at this though, 1 second gap between Kerem and Plant Baseball here. But at what cost? Kerem with that 6-second time penalty, unfortunately. It's going to be very difficult for him to go on and win this Grand Prix as Bushmaster going into the box. Is he going to get a 10-second time penalty? No, he is not. Synetic staying up 1 more lap. Now, the undercut, what I was talking about on the formation lap, can come into play here. Bushmaster boxing 1 lap earlier than Synetic. He can have 1 lap on these new mediums. Interesting for Bushmaster there. I believe he's going to go for a medium, soft. Because, of course, you cannot go for medium, and then the Grand Prix there, otherwise you will get disqualified. So, I'm assuming Bushmaster going for a 2-stop strategy here. And looking for a medium, soft. A very interesting strategic move there. Will it pay off? 0-0 leaving the session, not good for him. As here we go, Plant Baseball and Kerem, the battle we've been wanting to see between these top 2 spots. It has now finally arrived. Although with the, of course, time penalties for Kerem, it does not mean it won't deny us entertainment. Unless Plant Baseball goes into the bits right now, which he probably will. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Just my luck, just our luck really, isn't it? He goes to the pit lane. And both of them go into the pit lane on the same exact time. Interesting. Bushmaster again on these mediums. Is Synetic going to box? No. It looks like Synetic's going to really stretch out these mediums, so maybe he is just looking for that 1-stop medium hard. Of course, the longer you go on these set of tyres, the shorter amount of laps you're going to go on the hard set compound tyres, making it much easier for you to manage this hard tyres towards the end of the Grand Prix. Kiri Kiddis now overtaking people through the pit lane. That is Kerem and Plant Baseball, of course. DJ Danny coming through for P3 here. He's looking for his big recovery drive. And he's going to hope for a safety car around now. That is really what he's going to look for. If he can get a safety car around now, it will save him so much time. It will pretty much enable him a massive advantage, going into the championship battle. George Church, though, overtaking Dominic into that straight, into that first turn. His mediums are going to be lightning quick against his hards. And the Aston Martin is going to pull through. Here's the Haas car, is just on the back. Do not count him out. Kesson coming into the pits, going for hards. Dan coming out of the pits, overtaking Maudi. Kick Saubers, the championship leaders in the constructors, not having a great race by any stretch of the imagination. Kerem using ERS, and now going into the chicane. Right-hander, left-hander, hitting the Mercedes. You have to be looking behind his back. Kerem with these new mediums is going to be lightning quick. Is he going to go side by side with him? And he's going to get an easy manoeuvre, but you would have predicted that, considering DJ Danny is on some very worn-out tyres. And quite frankly, does not have the pace to compete with these two, with the new set compounds. Plant Baseball here, going to come round the outside, potentially here, of the DJ Danny. And can he complete that move? And DJ Danny's getting very close to the Red Bull himself. Big contact! Massive fucking crash! What the fuck? Now that is not the type of safety car he would have wanted. DJ Danny, that is not the safety car he would have wanted. Not good. For him. Well, I think DJ Danny's lost his front wing there. And, well, I said to it earlier on. He wants a safety car at this point, but I don't think he wanted him to be the one causing it. Very unfortunate for DJ Danny. He's fighting for this championship as hard as he can, but it's always going to be tough when you're facing drivers who just put you in a wall. Well. I assume a loads of people are going to come into the pit lane for hards here. I think everybody should be coming into the pit lane for hards. I think everybody should be very careful nursing them under the safety car. And when they do that, we're going to have pretty much a level playing field here, folks. If everybody is coming into the box on hard set compound tyres. Of course, Kerem not coming into the box because he's already boxed very early on, but I'd argue Kerem. Who's leading the championship as an avid Tier 3 fan? Thank you, Suzoom. Well, the man who's leading the championship right now is Mark Tunjic. He is not racing tonight, which is why it was such a massive deal for DJ Danny in tonight to win this Grand Prix or make something big happen. Unfortunately for him, it has not happened. And instead, he has been taken out. He's come out onto some new mediums with a new wing. And he's going to look to storm through the field now. Be careful, folks, on the lookout for DJ Danny's surge in this race from now on. He's going to be mad. He's going to be looking at these hard runners ahead of him thinking, I can get at him here. I can really get at him here with these mediums. I can push through, pull through, and hopefully get myself back up to the top spots where I can close down that gap for the championship, which is 26 points between himself and Mark Tunjic. So, of course, if DJ Danny wins tonight, then that would enable him being 1 point behind Mark Tunjic. It's not very likely to happen now because, of course, he's all the way down to P13, 12, and it's going to be very difficult for him to climb up through that entire massive order. But if you're really, with your heart of hearts, you really want to win a championship, you've got to make big drives like this. You've got to do it. This is a big, big test for DJ Danny. Has this guy got the heart, the determination, the will even, to get himself into the top spots? Well, folks, if you're looking for something to eat, go eat it. Go get some crisps. Go get some popcorn, whatever you want. The safety car restart will come back very shortly. And I did say, don't count out Tier 3 with the entertainment, because one small mistake for somebody can lead to the entire grid being bunched up again. And wouldn't you have it, we have just that. Everybody who is joining into the stream, please let me know in the comments who you think is going to win this Grand Prix. Who's going to pull 3 for the win. In my opinion, I would say Cinetic. But here we go. DJ Danny has left the session. Okay, I'm going to get him right back in. I'm going to do my best to try and get him back in. We obviously don't want, wow, that was a mental voice crack. That's crazy. We don't want drivers who are fighting for the championship just having issues on. To be fair, I wasn't able to race at Imola because my connection issues have been fucked. And I told myself after that race, right, because basically what that meant is I was well behind in the championship at that point. I was like pretty much, I don't think I was like more than 25 points away from the championship, but there was like at least like a 15+ gap after that Imola Grand Prix, and I told myself I'm never ever going to lose a race again. If I do lose a race again, then I'm finishing P2, and if I'm not finishing P2, I'm finishing P3, and if I'm not finishing P3, there's no way that's ever happening because I've got to score in the podium. Later that season, I won the championship quite comfortably with like 3-4 races left in Tier 3. It's all about that determination, that will to keep on going and really, really set your sights on a championship. And DJ Danny has gone to the pits, and for some reason he's back in the grid and he's disconnected again. This is not good. This is not good. Well, there you go then, folks. The safety car is in this lap. We're going back to the green flag. And we're going racing once more. Really, the battle is between Cinetic and Plant Baseball here for the P1. Between these two drivers, they are behind a driver with big time penalties. Which means if you finish P2 on track, you will win the race. Plant Baseball, versus Cinetic. Who's going to take the crown? We go back racing here in Imola. It looks like the Alpine has got a very good start under their safety car. The V-Carb is not close to the Alpine at all. And the Alpine is closer to the Red Bull than the V-Carb is to the Alpine. They're going to go side by side straight off the exit here. There's a bit of a squeeze there between the two drivers. And Plant Baseball takes the lead here straight after the safety car restarts. He leads here in Imola once more. And that is such a big advantage for him to try and win this Grand Prix. As Eastu going up the inside of Dominic here, going into that left to right-hander, and he completes the move. There's a car off track. That's the Salma of STB Maudi, not having a nice race so far, and that just piles on the dog shit that he's had tonight. Here we go, they're still within a second here between all these drivers, still got DRS within each other. Kerem and Plant Baseball. This is the battle for P1. Granted, those... Oh, fucking hell, the heartburn. Heartburn is not given. Granted, the time penalty is becoming a massive factor, but Plant Baseball can well enough get time penalties himself. If Karen can hold on and try and get on some luck, and really he's got some good pace because Cinetic is without DRS to Kerem. That is huge. It essentially means that he's able to gap Cinetic much easier, and in Cinetic it's just not that big of a threat anymore for this top 3 spots. DRS is enabled though. It's going down into that first turn. Karim is going to use all of his ERS to try and get into position. And Cinetic's using his ERS, and I believe he's in 1 second. Yes, he is. He's well within 1 second there. He's back in it, folks. Gecko going around the outside and potentially down the inside, going into his right-hander here. There is a little bit of a collision between the two drivers. We're going onto the exit here. There's a bit of a more collision. There's McLaren going on the inside of the Ferrari here, going into his left-hander. And he's going to get the overtake. The McLaren gets the overtake here. DJ Danny just back. Unfortunately, he's had a big connection issues under the safety car restart. It's not something you want to see. Oh, no! Big mistake there. That's STB Melody once more. There you go, Nut. Looking like the Tier 3 shitter. Karim within 1 second. Cinetic trying to get within 1 second as well, but at no avail. McMullen and George Hutch side by side here. There could be a bit of contact going on the exit of the chicane. There's a big pile up in the middle of it. It just shows you how close this midfield battle is. Going down towards that first turn, it's going to be the McLaren versus the Haas. What is going to happen between these two drivers? Who's going to get the better of who? We go into the left-hander here. DRS and ERS becoming a big factor now for this mid-table battle. As here we go. Kirikidis. Now, DRS being used as the Ferrari is going to watch along. He's going to go up the inside, round the outside. Here comes the Williams as well. He's joining the battle as well. Bosch Master, can he lunge up the inside? No, he can't. The Haas going down 3 positions in 1. It just shows you how powerful this DRS is. Kirikidis is now ahead of Gekar B and ahead of Bosch Master, who are all 3 ahead of the Haskell of Dominic. Into left-hander here for Gekar and Bosch Master as well. Close up behind Gekar. And here's George Hutch here, by the way, very close up. And here comes the Williams off the exit. Not a good exit there for the Aston Martin. Round the outside, the Williams looks to go. That's a bold move, a bold, brave move, but he's completed it. Great manoeuvre there from the Williams. He's up at a P9. McMullen, take a bow. I'll tell you what, his William counterpart in Bosch Master cannot take a bow. 3-second time penalty. I've already stated of how dangerous that is for your Grand Prix. As McMullen's going to go around the outside. Dominic now up the inside looking to protect the move. And he can protect it. But is that just going to mean he's going to lose so much time down this DRS straight? Because McMullen is going to have DRS and DRS to play with here. George Hutch is slowly behind, and so is Dan PITR. Here we go, going in towards that first turn. It's 2 abreast between the Williams and the Haskell. Round the outside goes McMullen there of Dominic, and he completes the move. And it seems like that's the only chop and change there in between that mid-table battle of that situation. Very nice move there from McMullen. He gets past the Haskell once more. And no, there's a collision. There's a DNF here. Not good. Here comes Gekar right at the back of Kirikidis. He's not going to look for the move in that move, is he? No, absolutely not. Side by side between Dan PITR and the Aston Martin here of George Hutch. Down the inside he goes into the left-hander, and he completes the move. Very smooth and lovely. He gets up into P10. Here we go, going on to the exit here. Looks like it's a good exit for George Hutch. He's closing down the gap here on that Haskell. Just not being able to get a bite. And the Sauber is going to get the bite on him. Side by side into the last double left-handers. And he completes the move in the first. And the Sauber of Dan PITR is ahead of George Hutch. Whoa, you can't do that. Dan, you can't do that. Dominic is in the pits. After 12 laps on these hards, he's had enough of it! Contact between the first turn, the McLaren to cut the corner there between Eastdew and Kirikidis. Going on to the exit, the Williams and the McLaren going to go side by side onto the straight. The McLaren is now going to go around the outside, going down. He's on a massive contact! Massive fucking crash! Bosch Master losing the fucking front wing! That has ruined his race. The Sauber there of Maudi going onto the exit. He's onto the grass. Gekar getting close here to Eastview, his teammate. Massive collision between himself and Kirikidis going into that first turn. It's a difficult corner to overtake in. And that proves why. Not a lot of space, and there's going to be lots of contact as it looks like Ishii just letting Gekar go. I think Gekar is, well, oh look at that, sorry, not Cinetic, Kerem coming into the pits. Tyre wear is fucked around here, you know. Down the pit lane straight though, here comes Kirikidis and Ishii. They could go at it again and they could squabble up for them dividends. Maldi with 3-second time penalty. And no move is going to be attempted there for the McLaren that time out. George Hutch, 3-second time penalty. Looks like Ishii is letting Kirikidis go. McMillan having to brake there. Almost a bit of a brake check there for that driver. Wow. Here we go then. Will Plant Baseball bin the car and enable a potential Cinetic to get into that top spot? McMillan, right-hander here, left-hander, going up the hill. It's between Eastdew and Kirikidis here for this battle for P4. Right-hander, left-hander, flicking the car through. The Williams gets on the pace on the exit. Kirikidis, though, is looking behind him and he's looking at Eastdew, saying, what is he going to do? We're not going to go down the inside just yet as the Williams going very deep into that turn. The Mercedes have DJ Danny. I think that's his race over. But here we go though, going on to the exit in the pit lane straight, the pace for Eastdew, going down towards turn 1, DRS being used, and they're going to be 2 abreast going into that first turn. Not even that, he's well ahead going into that first turn. The kick stumble though of Dan PITR looking for him in potential McMullen. McMullen getting a much better exit than the McLaren of Kirikidis, as now here we go, the Williams up the inside of the McLaren. There's contact between the two of them going into that first turn. Bit of a wobble there from the Sauber. But McLaren's going to keep his position, but maybe not for long. Down the inside goes the Williams. Over McLaren. Can he get the move? ERS being used. He's now round the outside, now down the inside into the left-hander. They're going to keep it side by side, and they're going to keep it clean between the two drivers. There's a bit of a forcing off track there. Dan is going to come through to taking the position as well. Round the outside, he's going to look to go. And around the outside again, there's a bit of contact between the McLaren and the Sauber once more. The positions remain the same though, except for McMullen overtaking Kirikidis. McMillan right on the back of this Ferrari here. They don't want to battle. You don't want to battle right here, right now. DJ needs retired from the session. Is that a safety car? It's a virtual. Does it mean he just crashed into the pits then? Well, I've boxed right now for softs if I'm anybody who's smart. Not soft, sorry. Mediums. I think Dan's smart, folks. Mediums it is for Dan. And George Hutch and Bushmaster, you need to go into the pits. You can't stay on these tyres. Seven laps left to go. People are going on softs, so you gotta go with mediums actually. You can't go on softs. Cinetic on Plant Baseball here. These two are going to look to squabble up for the win in the Imola Grand Prix. Can Cinetic get close enough to beat him out? Here we go then, Cinetic and Plant Baseball. Right-hander, left-hander. Bushmaster drive through penalty, speeding under the virtual safety car. Not something you want to see. But onto the exit, Cinetic is 2.4 off. Can he close that gap down? McMullen now very close to Eastdew. Can he look for a move on the Ferrari as well? Left under as well here for McMullen, going down the DRS straight. Is he close enough to look for a manoeuvre? I don't think he is. Or is he going to surprise me? Is McMullen gonna surprise me and you? Yes, he will. Down the inside he goes into that first turn. But Eastdew just staying ahead. But on the exit of this left under here, McMullen's got a little bit of pace. He's got a little bit of something about him here, McMullen. I wouldn't want to overtake him if I was at McMullen, as Boschmaster now DNFing in the pits. He's not happy with his race either. But here we go though, McMullen overtaking Easthu. That's it for the Ferrari. He has been cleared by the Williams finally. But now can McMullen just open up that gap between himself and Easthu? Kerem, 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. That's been a common occurrence in this race. Welcome to everybody who is watching so far. But it just seems like at the end of this Grand Prix, Plant Baseball is going to take the win. Here comes the Ferrari, though, of the Williams. Down the inside, Easthu's going to go here, of McMullen. Is he going to get the move? McMullen's looking for a switchback manoeuvre. That's absolutely fantastic. And he does get the move back on Easthu. Cool, calm, collected, and assuring. Well done from the Williams. He gets past. Kerem, now with Maldi. Can Maldi look for a move on Kerem himself? Right hander and left hand for Maldi. Healer them 1 second. Kyriakidis is close to Easthu. These two have had their proper battles here on the circuit so far. ERS being used, the DRS is now activated as we go down towards turn 1. I don't think it's close enough to look for a move, however. And nor is Easthu, sorry. Kerem overtaking Iceman though down the straight, that is for sure. That's a certainty. We're now in the place where we're just going to look at the penalties from now on. As here we go, DNF there for Dan, PRTR, he's not happy with how he's performed so far tonight as well. Well, Imola has been a very entertaining Grand Prix up until this point, I reckon. The drivers are just spaced out now, and it's nearing that end game where the dust has settled, and we're now just witnessing the remainder, the coasting in for their positions as Kerem overtaking Kezin. Kyriakidis here using his DRS. Can he get close enough to Easthu, who has not got DRS? Into the first turn. I think he can. The McLaren gaining multiple speed here on the Ferrari. Going down into the first turn. Can he look for the move? I don't think he can. Well, he did look for the move, that's for sure, but he did not get it. Room not allowed for that McLaren. Here we go, though, going on the exit of that left-hander. 5 tenths between the two of them. They could be having a battle into that first turn, which you've seen many a time. Maldi getting close in the nice scenery of Imola here. Kyriakidis very close here to Easthu. Double left-hander here between Kyriakidis and Easthu. They're going to be close. They're going to be mighty close going onto the straight here. Here here we go. Between the McLaren and the Ferrari going down the straight. The McLaren can have the better pace than the Ferrari. Run the outside and he completes the move. So there we go, then that is the move completed. As STB Maldi getting a 3-second time penalty. Two more laps left to go. Eastdew side by side now with Kiri Killis. Going to go to the exit of that left-hander here, up the hill. And I'm going into the chicane. They're still going to be relatively side by side. But not close enough. Look at the McLaren, he's just looking at the back here of this Ferrari, wondering how he can get at him here. Kyriakidis, will he look for a move into the chicane? No. It's too dangerous. Is it going to be 12 to finishes? Again, that's the confidence in it. Confidence is not with Tier 3 tonight, as Imola is a very difficult race for people on pads. But here we go, they're going down the DRS straight here. We've seen this many a time, this picture being painted before. It's being painted once more. Round the outside. The McLaren's looking to go. Big massive crash. Big contact between the two of them there. Between Kyriakidis and Eastdew. And the McLaren is round. Now Eastdew going onto the gravel there. As Kerem coming through. And having a collision with him. But for the remainder of this Grand Prix, I think we need to hand the spotlight to this man. Had an absolutely fantastic qualifying session. Although he did have Dan PITR out qualifying him by quite a margin. Plant-based ball proved himself fierce on the circuit. Never mind the pole position or not. He was always going to be a threat going into this Grand Prix. And he's just a dark horse that ignited to set fire in Imola. Had an absolutely fantastic opening start to this race. With a bit of luck, Dan PITR crumbled from his top position, spinning and stumbling all the way down into those bottom tiers, those bottom places. And Plant Baseball was able to calmly take up that P1 slot and has been protecting it ever since. The strategic calls, the milliseconds gained in every single corner he has taken so far in this old school based historic circuit. And as he brushes his car around each and every turn in this Himalayan Grand Prix, he will now come round that last turn. Plant Baseball will come across the line and win the Imola Grand Prix. It's absolutely fantastic all weekend out for the Alpine, and he gets his reward. 25 points goes to him. And of course, other drivers now coming across that line. Big penalties coming here as a factor. Eastdew 10-second time penalty. But the final grid, as everybody will come now across the line, is going to be Plant Baseball P1, Cinetic P2, Gek P3, McMullen P4, Kyriakidis P5, Kezin P6, Kerem P7, Eastdew P8, Maldi P9, Iceman P10, Dominic P11, George Hutch P12, Dan PITR P13, Bushmaster P14, Danny P15, and so on and so forth. Fantastic race. Through in, through out. Plant Baseball is your Imola winner. Thank you all for watching tonight. If you have enjoyed today's stream, then please follow us to look for more, especially tomorrow, where we're going to Hungary to witness Tier 4. I'll be on comms for that tonight, as I've been Silent Pistol. This has been Tier 3. Fantastic race, fantastic moments, and hopefully more to come tomorrow. Same time, 8 PM. Hopefully, you'll join us then. Thank you for watching, and good night.